It is time for another episode of OneSoccer today. Gareth Wheeler, Jordan Wilson, and Oliver Pitchside Platt, who very generously is joining us from the Prime Minister's suite at the Pacific Rim, Vancouver, after what I can only imagine was a late night in Gastown after yesterday's Canadian Championship final. The 2024 TELUS Canadian Championship is now in the books. It took penalties, but the Whitecaps were able to secure their three-peat and fourth time hoisting, the Voyageurs Cup. I want to start with you, Oliver Platt. You adjacent, perhaps, because you had asked Vanni Sartini very particularly, and for good reason. You in the past have come awfully close to his bare, sweaty chest, what the celebrations would entail, and the Vancouver Whitecaps gaffer had the following to say.
Not too much. So what I'm gonna do, I did a fantastic picture with the cup with my wife, so we're gonna Photoshop the cats there, and it's gonna be a great thing for us, for our family. And yeah, I'm gonna have a drink, and knowing that Saturday is so important. Unfortunately, we cannot really get crazy because we are in crunch time. It's not like last year. It was in the middle of the season and you could quote unquote throw away the next game. By the way, we tied against Cincinnati, the best team in the league. So it's so important Saturday that we have to celebrate, but be kind of, I don't know, with some restraint. And that is good for my liver, so good.
A very understandably happy Vanni Sartini after the match. Shout out his liver. Glad to know that it's going to be A-okay. Let's go to you, Ollie, now that we've heard from Vanni. You were there between the benches. You saw it all. You heard it all. I'm sure you smelt it all, from the pyro to the champagne and the Voyageurs Cup after the fact. How did they do it, these Vancouver Whitecaps?
Well, firstly, obviously I was there last year as well, and Sartini's press conference was like the same thing. Netflix pays millions of dollars for these comedy specials they do, and a Sartini press conference after a big win is funnier than most of them. That's one answer he gave. You could have picked five where he had the room basically in stitches. How did they do it? I think Sartini deserves a lot of credit here for the way he handled his decision to play Isaac Boma through this tournament, because it's a very different thing to have a feeling of a young goalkeeper going into a game because you need the Canadian requirements or whatever it is. I don't think they actually did last night, because they could have played Raposo quite easily. But it's one thing to do that and to have a young player who maybe feels pressure on his shoulders, who maybe there's a bit of a feeling this guy wouldn't be playing if it wasn't for the Canadian requirements, versus what they actually did, which was at the start of the season set out, this is your tournament. Each performance you earn the next game, and if you play well, if you give us what we need from you, you're going to play the whole thing. And I just think that gave a young player so much more confidence, so much more assurance that he deserved to be in the 11. He belongs in the 11. And he delivered just a brilliant performance from start to finish, even aside from the shootout and the Bernadeschi penalty. Several key saves that he made in that game that really kept the Whitecaps in it, because they did not play well. And I think Sartini knew that and acknowledged that after the game, that TFC probably deserved to win that one. So that was a huge part of it, just the way that a young player plays. And I think the confidence he was given by his coach and the man management that set that up.
Well, the pride of Okanagan Falls, BC, he won the top under-23 Canadian player. He won the George Grass Memorial Trophy, as well as tournament MVP. And Jordan Wilson, I know you and Wheels spoke a lot last night as you were immediately reacting to the match, but you've slept on it now and you've thought about the performance. And is there anything that's changed for you, or anything that's been more reaffirmed as you've seen the highlights and thought about the fact that the Caps are the four-time Voyageurs Cup champions now?
Yeah, I think what sticks out to me, and what I'll utter again this fine day after thinking about it yesterday, is just the cohesiveness within the squad. But then I will also say, and piggyback off of Ollie's point, is that Vanni Sartini talked about this win being like the win of love, but then that belief and security that you give someone of Bomer to go and play in that finals. And as a player, you can look ahead knowing that, one, I have the faith of my manager. One, I have the faith of my goalkeeper coach. One, I could see myself making these saves down the road, because he knew that this moment was his. And then I think what you saw yesterday was a coach that was rewarded for the belief that you have in every single player. I can tell you, in many rooms that I've been in with starters and bench players, you feel different. Sometimes when you're on the bench, especially as a second keeper, you're looking at the first, like, it doesn't matter how I train, I'm not going to get my moment. But Vanni Sartini found a way to say, look, this is going to be your moment. Did he predict that he would make a save on Bernadeschi and go to pens and be an MVP? Absolutely not. But did he give him the leeway to go out and be successful in his best self? Yes. I think that's the difference. That's why I say with cohesiveness with the squad, they didn't play their best football yesterday, but they almost look like we're gonna rely on each other right down to the last whistle, and that's literally what happened. So as much as TFC in a way went for it and maybe could be proud of that effort, for me, Vancouver Whitecaps show why they're the best team in Canada because of those reasons, and that's much bigger than football and tactics for me.
Garrett, same question to you.
Nothing really to add. Not on their best day, found a way to come away with the trophy. At the end of the day, Vancouver Whitecaps have a better squad than Toronto FC. I think that squad depth made a difference late in the game. Vancouver was still up against it. John Herdman turned to his bench and really didn't have much reliable to turn to. And the fact that Vancouver Whitecaps are built in a way that they're defensively strong, they're very well organized, they're difficult to beat. That was good enough on the day. So although it wasn't a batter performance in a cup final, the way that they got there, they only scored 4 goals on the way, but they did it by playing very well defensively. That stands out to me the most, that even when they're not at their best, it's still good enough to win this trophy.
Great day for scrum caps as well. Bjorn Inge Utvik scoring the match-winning
try.
penalty. Supposed to be
Ricky
Larea to take the 5th, but he didn't even have an opportunity to step up because of the 4-2 win for Vancouver Whitecaps.
Was it going to be Larea? Interestingly, was it going to be Bernadeschi?
No, it was going to be Larea. The Canada Soccer website posted the full-time stats, and Larea's name was grayed out, so he would have been next for TFC.
Does that surprise you, Adam? That Bernadeschi?
Does it surprise me?
They give him the penalty in the first half, but they're not. He's not going to take a penalty during the shootout. That's interesting.
I would have thought if the player was confident, he would have shot first and just said, I'm going to sort of have the redemption and go for it. As soon as he didn't shoot first, I honestly didn't think he was going to shoot.
How many times do you see that, though? You miss in a game,
shocking.
and then you go and take the first one and then score, and people almost like kind of forget. You're like, oh, you're very brave for putting that down and stepping up for your squad. To wait for 6th or 7th.
Huge decision.
Although Bernadeschi missed 3 in a row, I never understood why he took the penalty in the first half when Lorenzo Insigne was on the field to begin 100%. With.
It's a bigger question.
Would you feel more comfortable with your designated player, a European Championship winner, stepping up, or Kosi Thompson or Matty Longstaff? That's an interesting call for me, because that's the other thing about games like this, Adam. You need to get the little things right. And when you don't, you need to be able to adjust. And I just don't think TFC did that. And Vancouver probably did a better job adjusting as the game went on.
Yeah, we'll dive a little bit deeper into the loss for the Reds, but we do have to get to this one last thing on Vancouver before moving on. And as mentioned, Vanni Sartini at the podium, fantastic. In an interview with Oliver Platt, fantastic. Though, Ollie, how do you feel about the fact that the gaffer lied to your face? Because you asked if he was going to take his shirt on. He said, no, popped off his kicks, held them in the air, said new tradition.
Wasn't enough.
That lasted all of 5 minutes, because this photo just very quickly circulated afterwards. Rob Williams, Vanni's shirt is off again. And that is a tradition worth honoring. Obviously enjoying the moment, and he has been, but every, my goodness, the lore he adds to every time he gives the supporters what they want. I think he took 47 selfies in the 15 seconds before kickoff with all the supporters behind the bench. He's clearly a beloved figure. Let's go to TFC then, because we started talking about it. So let's actually sink our teeth a little bit deeper into it. Some of the things you've already brought up, Gareth, but if you want to pick a lane to maybe spend the most time, or what you might believe was the biggest reason for the defeat, where would you go for John Herdman's men?
I thought the Toronto FC played well, just about as well as they could have played, but I've seen that act over and over and over again this season. Early chances, unable to capitalize, they're on the front foot, and then they just don't quite create enough. This will be twofold the reason why they're unable to get games like that over the line despite playing better than their opponent. One is they don't have a reliable goal scorer in the team. They just don't. The options at number 9, lack any confidence that they would provide to anyone following them. They're just not prolific goal scorers. Insigne isn't a natural goal scorer even when he's fit. He's more of a provider. You have a player in Bernadeschi who plays down the right, who works his socks off, but every time he cuts inside and just tries to hit it. It's like he wants to use the 5-wood every time. It's the exact same thing. There's no crosses from that position. Same thing goes with Lorea playing down the left. A player who I, by the way, think playing down the right-hand side are as dangerous as they get from an attacking perspective from a right wing back or fullback in Major League Soccer. But on the left, it's not his natural position. Jordan, we documented this during the game. Every time there was a passive touch, he, instead of playing it forward, he played it back. He cut inside. He's great at getting that step outside right and beating a defender. I just don't think he should play there. So you're not getting service in from those wide areas. Let's put it this way. TFC, their goal scoring, you can pinpoint the blame. Only 6 teams have scored fewer goals than them in Major League Soccer. But in terms of expected goals, like genuine chances created, they're third from the bottom in Major League Soccer in expected goals. That's because a lot of their shots are from outside the 18. Like, I thought the best chance of the night was the Insigne effort, where he did really well to almost shape the ball on target. Other than that, the penalty, of course, but the penalty is like a completely different, just in terms of the way that that's manufactured. So I just think it's a team that doesn't have anywhere near enough in attack. I don't think that they're creating enough in terms of their attack. Their attacking play is predictable. So they not only need a goal scorer, but they need a new attacking platform, or at least a plan B to turn to when the first one's simply not working.
Ollie, your observations from last night?
Yeah, much the same. Like the front three just doesn't work, in my opinion, or at least doesn't give them what they need in terms of goal scoring. In MLS games this season, Insigne 4 goals, 1 was a penalty, Osorio 2, Kerr 3. Like you can't be successful against top teams when you're getting that kind of output from your 3 most attacking players. So that's not to say that all of them have necessarily played badly in all facets. Like they're clearly a better team when Osorio's on the pitch than off it. But as a trio, on top of the wing backs as well, they just don't get enough from those players in terms of goal scoring output. So they're going to have to obviously take a look at that in the off season and the personnel there. The other thing I'd say is that they seem to have like some persistent problems. I don't know whether it's just the players they have or what the issue is in terms of just fitness and availability as well. On a broader level, that I think they struggle week to week to get a consistent team on the pitch. In an individual game level, you can see there's moments in the second half where the team just dies and seems like they don't have a lot left in the tank. So that's an issue as well. But the attacking players is the big one. Like even with the Whitecaps not being at their best, when they did have moments when they got into the final thirds, you could see that there was just a bit more pace, a bit more zip about the way they attacked compared to TFC. And yeah, that has to change going forward. So they're going to continue to struggle for reasons like they did last night.
And Jordan, last word to you on the team that Vanni Sartini said outplayed them last night, but couldn't get their goal.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. Just thinking back to who's to blame when you're thinking about TFC and where they are right now. And I've always said it's just about how this team has been assembled. Obviously, Wheels and Ollie have just talked about it, but the point I'll take is just as a player, I've played for a team. I'm not going to say which year. You guys would probably know if you know me well. Where if you're playing and you're playing football, Wheels mentions it all the time. And I think about the 8 weeks of not scoring. I said, man, woo! You can do everything in your power, but if you know you're still getting a draw or losing in the 93rd minute, you're looking at owners, you're looking at everything else, because you're like, I remember trying to train, and I would train crosses after training with Dom Zator, trying to head everything. You're so desperate to score. Desperation can't be a part of football. Like, you need to have a bit of just continuity within your squad. Like, we defend, midfielders are rattlers and keep things moving, and your strikers, they're the end product. When you look at TFC, there's a lot of desperation. There's a lot of people really trying to push, and you can't put a square peg in a round hole. I think everyone needs to have their job and have a defined role. I look at a DeAndre Kerr. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's a very young player with a promising future. But yesterday, he was the guy that was getting the ball, like, dumped to him in the corner by himself, 1v1. Maybe, is there anyone in the box? It was recycled back. Like, there wasn't a clear intent of what they want to do going forward. And as someone, like I said, who played for a team for 8 weeks, didn't score, it will drive you bonkers. I was pulling out my beard hairs. I don't even want to talk about it. Why did I bring it up?
Was it just
Jordan
you and
mentioned-
Jordan doing the extra goal scoring training? Like maybe some of the others should have been trying that.
Bro, me, you
Other than the
15 minutes,
centre-backs.
we had diving headers. We're doing, and then come weekend, we never scored. We were at our wits' end. Oh,
Should be like
Jordan
Gaff, play me up
mentions
top.
ownership.
Play me up top.
Sorry, Gareth, go ahead.
No, it's just
Yeah.
Jordan should have told his manager to play him up top.
I would have been
I
kicking
think it
that
was the
ball at the
centre-back's
stadium
fault.
for sure.
Sure would. Sure, it would have landed on the 407. I digress. Speaking of new ownership,
07.
obviously, Keith Pelly will have his first full year at the helm of this group as the chief executive officer of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, who now only have one real business daddy or daddies in Rogers, who will have a big decision to make with the payroll that will be, they will see it and go, I'm sorry, the player we're playing how much money only went 70 minutes after being rested in a cup final. Where is our ROI here? And now, Gareth, we think if this is a muscle injury, if this is a calf injury, we know the run-in for TFC is going to be incredibly difficult, as they'll be the first team in Major League Soccer to finish their regular season, and they're trying to scrape in to the MLS playoffs. Will we see Insigne again before the end of 24?
He doesn't look great, does he? I mean, he made that one little move, and then there goes his calf again. There's clearly an issue there, and he's clearly trying to force his way back into the team. I think, in fairness, the players are trying to do what they can. Henry Wingo is trying to return quickly from a hamstring injury. Kevin Long somehow managed to get through 90 plus minutes. And it didn't look good at points in that game. Shane O'Neill limped off. There's a number of fitness issues that need to be addressed in terms of the team. Are players trying to push it too much based upon the nature of the situation at play? The schedule's relentless. And look, I feel for Insigne that way. But you mentioned the ROI. If you're going to be, one of the most important players in Major League Soccer in terms of salary, in terms of acquisitions, in terms of what you mean to a team, your manager, your team needs you on the field. And when you're playing 70 minutes and you're clearly not full strength, are you helping or hindering? That's the question at this point. I didn't see anywhere near enough output. What is that? Like his last 12 games without a goal? Like it's been a real struggle for the player. But, with Herdman documented that Derek Etienne Jr. went down. Like, who are you going to play over these next 3 games? You have 3 games here over the next, week and a half, 12 to 13 days that are going to define your season. TFC, the only team that doesn't play on decision day. So their season wraps up like a week from Saturday. So it's all hands on deck here. They do not control their own destiny anymore. So although he's been a liability, who knows what they're going to do in the future? I don't think you can move on from that contract because no one else wants it. This signing has 100% been an absolute and complete and total bust. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt that when they're looking at their books, the new ownership this season, hard conversations are going to have. Smarter people than me will decide what they can do with that contract, but no one's going to take on that contract. No team in world football will take on that contract. So I think you're kind of stuck there for the next 2 years.
And Ollie, you were there between the benches as he came out of the match, and it obviously was a frustrating scene.
Yeah, I mean, like, they are going to have to take their medicine and just pay him to go away. Like, I don't see any other option at this. It's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be a really tough pill to swallow.
Bad news for your phone bills, everybody.
If they genuinely want this team to have a real chance of being a top team in MLS again before 2027, and under this current coach and John Herdman, they're going to have to pay him millions of dollars to go away. I don't see any other way around it at this point.
Jordan Wilson?
It's a lot of quiche.
It's one of those things in my house. We try to keep it simple. We just say, like, is it enough or is it not enough? And homeboy, it's not enough from Insigne. It's just not even close. Like, anyone watching them being around this team is forget the money aspect. It's hard not to. It's very glaring, the number. And like a part of me wants to be half Insigne and catch half of that, put that in my pocket. But just leave that out of the way. Just look at him and the product on the pitch. There's far more distraction off than product on the pitch. That for me is the answer right there.
All right, so we will say goodbye to the 2024 TELUS Canadian Championship. Our thanks, as always, to the viewers for joining us on the journey. Great tournament. It gets bigger
What a
next
journey.
year with the League
Support
One
the
Alberta
Voyagers Cup.
representative.
Go out to games, watch, get behind it. Small clubs, big clubs. Last night,
It's
nowhere
fun, man.
near enough people were in that building. No one wanted to market the game and let people know that it's going on. It's a cup final, for crying out loud, with two of the three biggest clubs in this country. If you can't get out and support it, just, I don't know. It's a tough one for me. It needs support from the stakeholders all the way through to the fans. Everyone needs to be on board here.
I know
It matters.
22 final had at least 20,000, if not pushing
Double.
24. So it was definitely a much more empty BC Place Stadium, which is what CONCACAF, Oliver Platt, is hoping will not be the case for next year's Gold Cup, as they get a bit of an audition, the city of Vancouver, for the World Cup, which is just around the corner. What was your reaction to the news, seeing it so West Coast heavy, and the fact that Vancouver will get matches? The furthest east they'll go is St. Louis, Missouri. Ollie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this tournament. Like, I think it's obviously going to be a bit of a warm-up for 2026. Not entirely, obviously, just looking at the geography there. It is, as you said, very West Coast oriented, but this is kind of the opportunity, I think, for CONCACAF to have a little bit of a test run for 2026 in certain stadiums, obviously, particularly for us in Canada at BC Place. So just seeing major international games in a tournament back in Canada, I think that's an exciting thing. Seeing Canada play at home in a major tournament is going to be a little bit of an appetizer for 2026. So I'm looking forward to it. I think this is going to be, one of the better Gold Cups for a competition that has maybe faded a little bit in recent years because of the Nations League and just the convenience that's provided to national teams to kind of prioritize that.
And we remember too that the sorry guys,
I just
I was going to say the Club World Cup's coming up too.
Well, yeah, I mean, Texas is in the West, but anyways, I just want to say, like, you spread all these games across the board, make it more than one game in the venue, and make sure that Canada isn't playing like who they play in the last Gold Cup at BMO Field in Toronto, Guadeloupe.
Yeah.
I mean, give this game a chance to like really attract a lot of people. I hope that it is a significant game, and I hope that it's more than just one game being played here. Like, come on, let's do this right.
Yeah, the 2025 Club World Cup, the schedule will be announced soon. It's supposed to be out by the end of September, and we'll expect to see that map of the United States filled out significantly more with some of the venues there. Jordan, you excited to see the Gold Cup in Vancouver?
Yeah, I think so. I just like when things are brushed all over this beautiful country, right? You get the East Coast, and obviously naturally you see it at BMO Field. In Toronto is nice, but yeah, the West Coast needs that love as well. And I think players just going to all corners of this country is a good thing.
And hurry up and get grass in that place like yesterday.
that is a big thing. That is the big
definitely.
one, right? Like players don't like keep switching. Grass is the way, but obviously it's tough in this country. But yeah,
all right, the 2025 Gold Cup. We look forward to it. Of course, we look forward to having it on OneSoccer as well. Let's move on next to today's Visa Women's Football Report. The Visa Women's Football Report, and Christine Sinclair made some headlines. She was asked about her future and the chance, perhaps, that she would play for her hometown Vancouver Rise in the Northern Super League when her Thorn days were done. But alas, Christine Sinclair pouring a little water on that, saying, "When my playing days are done in Portland, my playing days will be done. Period. I will retire as a Thorn," she did go on to say. Now, she admitted, Oliver Platt, she plans on supporting, she plans on cheering for the Vancouver Rise. But if we were to look into the crystal ball, knowing her relationship with Diana Matheson, how involved she's been in getting this league running, the marketing around it, and obviously just her massive impact on the women's game and the game, period, in Canada, would you expect to see Christine Sinclair involved, whether at the club level or the league level, at some point?
I mean, I would hope so. Like, I think we
Imagine
need.
if you said no.
Thanks, Christine. All the best in retirement. I mean, like, look, with the men's league, with the women's league in this country, we need the support of the biggest personalities and the most qualified people in the Canadian game. And Christine Sinclair is obviously right at the top of that list. So I would very much hope that there's some kind of role for her. I don't know what exactly she wants to do post playing. Sounded like from some of those comments that maybe coaching was the path that she was looking at going down. So I hope there's something there for her, because obviously, she's not only such a great ambassador and kind of profile to have for the league in general, but people like this always have a ton to pass on to the next generation. So it would obviously be a shock if she's not involved in some capacity.
Oliver Platt is the man in Vancouver. He knows these things. I'm sure he's got his ear to the ground.
What happened to the other story we were going to talk about?
We don't have time to talk about goalkeeper jerseys, Gareth. We're not going to get to the end, though. Shout out Kaylin Sheridan. We will save that for another day. Maybe that's a One Nation sink your teeth. I know you have
all I wanted
thoughts,
to talk
Gareth.
about on today's show.
I know you have thoughts. Kaylin Sheridan has some reports the 9th highest jersey sale in the NWSL in the top.
Who wears a goalkeeper's jersey?
Another
goalkeeper kit.
That's for another day. Our Visa Women's Football reports.
It's incredible.
And now, a quick chat, and it's got to be quick, on the Canadian Premier League. We will update the table because we are on the doorstep of another match week 25. Forge and Atletico Ottawa as the clubs who have clinched their ticket. Cavalry not very far away. I believe it's just a point that will get them over the line from this weekend. York United 8 points off the top. Pacific 2 clear of Vancouver, but famously, Jordan Wilson, that is still within a win. Of the matchups this week, Forge and York, Cavalry and Vancouver, both on Saturday, Ottawa and Halifax on Sunday, and Valor and Pacific on Monday. Which match grabs your attention, Jordan?
Forge and York, for 2 reasons. Forge win that match, the shield is theirs, absolutely, if they get the 3 points. And then York, as much as I think they've had a successful season, however this plays out, even if they finish 4th, I think they've overachieved in many respects. But that 1-2 game, kiss it goodbye. That match is very huge. I still think at Atletico Ottawa, with 4 games left, they're not getting 12 points. So, but even still, that looks like a 1-2. That's just a big match for how it falls for whoever going to be in that second place. But yeah, that's the one I'm really, really tuning into heavily.
Gareth Wheeler.
Forget Vancouver. They're making like Tom Petty, RIP. They're free falling. They're done. It's Atletico Ottawa, Halifax. It's their tonybet match of the week because Halifax are the one team that can still catch Pacific, I think. I mean, Valor, it's looking bleak right now. But Halifax is right in this. It's must-win time, and we're going to see a side play long ball football against a side that's going to play the ball on the ground. 2 contrasting styles. I'll let you decide who plays which way.
Oliver Platt.
Kick and run, they used to call it.
I'll just pass straight over that one. Valor Pacific. Like, Valor's got to start turning some draws into wins, obviously. If they win this one, they're
technically
right
on Monday. It's Monday. It's not the weekend.
That's still this weekend.
He's waiting for this. Just a bounce.
Monday's not the weekend.
Holiday Monday.
It's
the match day.
Go ahead, Ollie. Go ahead.
Valor Pacific. It's a must-win for I think for both teams.
Let him live, Wheels.
Pacific play York, Cavalry, Forge last 3 games of the season. Like, they need some points here, even though they have the advantage right now. And Valor, obviously, like I said, got to start winning games. Huge game.
And get ready, City of Winnipeg.
Weekend game.
The outcome, decision day. Oliver Platt, Adam Jenkins taking over Winnipeg. Will be at Princess Auto Stadium for that. Let's
try us.
Then we got to hit the road. Gareth Wheeler, some derbies coming up this weekend. Our tonybet top picks: the Madrid affair, +179 for Atleti, +150 for Real away.
I like Atletico Madrid on the draw no bet. They're a very good team. Unfortunately, they play Thursday, like today. Real Madrid play Tuesday, a little bit more extra rest. But Real Madrid has played no one thus far. And I think that Atleti, they've beat them the last 2 times that they played them at home last season. So let's back Atleti on the draw no bet.
Wilson, Bayern Munich, -139. Leverkusen, +330.
Ooh.
Big game, big opportunity.
Overs.
Feeling like Leverkusen. I really do. Yeah. I feel like the way that they finished last season, also the squad that they have, the young, the fresh, the way they go about their football. It will be a great game, very close, but I'm taking Leverkusen.
Dude, just take
Oliver
the
Platt,
over.
we are
It's like
off
3.5. All
air
these games
in
have like
30
8 goals.
seconds. The last time we gave
Crazy.
you the Dons, you did not bet on them, and they
Yeah,
win.
but it's a new day. It's a new day. We've got a new manager in, Scott Lindsay.
Do
Beat us
you?
8-1. Beat us 8-1 in the playoffs last season, but he's decided he liked what he saw and has come to Milton Keynes. So it's a new era. MK plus 119, away win.
No one likes
Take
what they
that,
see in
revived.
Bromley.
Keynes.
Thank
No
you so
one.
much for
He's
joining us,
revived.
Canada. This has been One
That's
Soccer
Yuki
today.
Tsunoda.
We'll see you this
Hates it.
weekend for match week 25 in the season.